Fantasy Football Almost Daily is brought to you by Fanball, and the Week 5 Fanball winners contests are up right now on the Fanball mobile app. That includes the Thursday night 49ers-Rams matchup that's only $1 to play. Who's going to have the most fantasy points, Purdy or Stafford? Which of the running backs will have the best night? Will it be McCaffrey, Kyron, maybe somebody else? How about the Niners receivers? And here's a little insight. Jennings and Pearsall might not play in this game. Jennings is 27% rostered right now, and Pearsall is 46% with Kendrick Bourne and Jake Tonches. Oh, they might be the play. You might be able to go make some money on that one. Or the Rams receivers. Do you dare go against Puka? I don't think I would. But Devontae Adams and a couple of tight ends are in play. If you pick the winners in those 4 groups of 4, you split the pot with your fellow winners. There's $1 contests all over the place in week 5, including the London game between the Vikings and Browns, some early and late pick 3s, and the Sunday night game and the Monday night game. Just come pick the winners with us. We're also brought to you by Game Blazers. It is Fury Week on Game Blazers. $50,000 in prizes are on the line in free-to-play contests. That includes 2 with just giant prize pools. And if you use the promo code FFAD when you make your first deposit, we'll match it up to $100. And after onboarding, if you're new here, there's an offer for 2 rare packs, which is a $50 value for just $5. That adds even more to your inventory, even more opportunities to enter lineups. So don't miss Fury Week on Game Blazers. Today, we're going to preview the Thursday night contest between the best 2 teams, in my opinion, in the NFC West. But first, let's hear Less Than Jake.
From the Sports Hub Games Network, this is Fantasy Football Almost Daily with your host, Matt Harrison.
Hey friends, it's Matt Harrison back again. You can find me on Twitter or Blue Sky at Explosive Output. And today we're keeping it short and sweet. We're going to preview the Thursday night contest, Fantasy Football Weekly style, but Charge can't stop me from giving pluses, minuses, D for dart throw grades. Ooh, I'm going to give a couple of those. Of course, you can find Scott Fish, Kent Wyrock, and the one and only Paul Charchian previewing all of this weekend's games on Fantasy Football Weekly. That episode up late Friday on your favorite podcast platform. We appreciate you tuning into Fantasy Football Almost Daily for the Thursday night preview. I'll be here every week doing this, so make sure you don't miss it. Let's start with the visiting 49ers in this one. Brock Purdy did not practice on Tuesday. Neither did Ricky Pearsall or Juwan Jennings. Jennings seems like the least likely to play with shoulder, ankle, and rib injuries, although he did play last week. Pearsall popped up on the injury report after stating he felt some instability in his knee on Sunday. That's never good. We'll see if the couple of days of practice rest can help him get ready for Thursday. And Purdy's toe is still bothering him. Kyle Shanahan said Purdy would play if he can play up to 100% of his ability, which is an odd way to phrase that. That was a quote. Purdy did play all right against the Jags from a fantasy standpoint, but he did sail a couple of balls. And on the short week, the Niners could opt to just start Mac Jones instead. We'll see what happens. Pay attention to those injury reports. And we'll start with the Niners passing game. This team has passed a ton this year. Purdy's 2 games, he's averaged 293 yards per game. And Jones's 2 games, he's averaged 281 yards per game. Those are pretty hefty numbers. The Rams are a very good defense, though. They're much tougher against the run than they are against the pass, though. Against the pass, they're just kind of upper middle class. They're allowing the 17th most completions and the 21st most yards at 212 per game. However, the most passing yardage they've given up have come in the last 2 weeks against Jalen Hurts and Daniel Jones. Whichever quarterback starts this game, a solid C+ grade. That's right, Charch, C+. But keep an eye on Purdy's status throughout Thursday afternoon. You might have to flex over to Mac Jones in this one. It feels like of the 2 wide receivers, Pearsall will go. I think Jennings is going to sit, but it could be both start. It could be both are out. Who knows? Keep an eye on this one as well. Top wide receivers have done very well against this Rams defense. A.J. Brown went for 6 catches, 109 yards, and a score. Michael Pittman had a lower output, 5 catches for 41 yards, but he had a touchdown, and that still plays. Pearsall currently 4th in the league in wide receiver yardage with 327 yards. He hasn't scored yet, but he also has more receptions than guys who are drafted well above him, like Nico Collins, Cortland Sutton, Devontae Adams, Marvin Harrison, Ladd McConkey, just to name a few. So I got a B+ grade on Pearsall if he goes. I'll put a C+ grade on Jennings if he goes, because I think there's a possibility that he might not be able to finish the game. And if one doesn't go, and I think it's going to be Jennings who doesn't go, I'll throw that C+ grade over to Kendrick Bourne. And if Pearsall and Jennings both sit, Demarcus Robinson is in play with a deep Hail Mary desperation D grade. Bourne actually was on the field for more snaps than Pearsall last week. That's worth noting. He usually plays the perimeter. So keep an eye on Kendrick Bourne. And if you're desperate for some wide receiver help this week, I think Kendrick Bourne, if you pay attention to what the Thursday night injury report looks like, if one of these two guys are out, I think Kendrick Bourne could be in line for a very nice day against the Rams defense. Jake Tonjes is startable with a C grade as well. He scored twice this season, including last week, and he's been on the field for over 70% of the Niners offensive snaps since George Kittle went down with injury. The Rams are giving up about 50 yards per game to opposing tight ends, so that's pretty good, and I think they'll have to continue to pass. So I think 50-ish yards for Tonjes is in play. Let's say 49 for the 49er. So I think he's startable with that C grade. It brings me to the running back, Christian McCaffrey. He's averaging almost 8 receptions per game. That's a ton by a running back. The Rams have allowed the fewest receptions in the league to opposing backs, but those numbers, they're very much skewed by the Texans and Titans backs. In the first 2 weeks of the season, they combined for 2 total receptions. That's not enough. The Titans didn't even get any receptions by a running back. Saquon had 4 receptions. Jonathan Taylor had 5. And Taylor's day ended up all right. He cobbled together 96 combo yards on 22 touches. That seems like the floor to me for CMC. I'll give him an A-, but you weren't benching McCaffrey either way. On the Rams side, let's start with Puka Nacua, who seems destined to break the receptions and receiving yards records this season. He's averaging 12.5 targets, 10.5 receptions, and 126 yards per game. He went bonkers last weekend, and in the process had a third quarter x-ray on his thumb. He left the game, got an x-ray, but finished with 13 catches, 170 yards, and a touchdown. He's an A+++ Aardvark grade in basically any matchup the rest of the year. Devontae Adams was clearly a step slow from his hamstring injury last week, but still managed 4 catches, 56 yards, and a score against the Colts. But he's a 32-year-old. He's got a hamstring injury. He's on a short week against a pretty good Niners secondary. They're top 10 in receptions and yards allowed, and they've only allowed 2 wide receiver touchdowns all year. I can't really find my way to anything better than a C grade here for Devontae Adams. If you have better options, I'd check those. Really sneaky pass play, though, if you're in desperate need for a tight end. Davis Allen, a desperation D grade in this one. The Niners have allowed the 8th most receptions to the tight end position. They're tied for the 5th most touchdowns allowed to tight ends at 3. They've allowed a tight end touchdown in 3 straight weeks. Plus, Tyler Higbee looks like he might not go in this one, or at the very least, he'll be limited with a hip injury. So Davis Allen, kind of a sneaky play. He's the only Rams tight end with a touchdown so far this season. Matthew Stafford gets a B grade. The Niners haven't yet faced a very high volume passing attack, which is why their numbers look so good. In week 1, they saw Sam Darnold. Week 2, Spencer Rattler. Week 3, Kyler Murray. Week 4, Trevor Lawrence. And only one of those guys topped 200 yards or had multiple scores. Do you know who it was? It was Spencer Rattler. He had 3 touchdown passes in that game. Stafford is averaging 278 through the air, and he's going to keep throwing to Puka, which always gives him a chance. So B grade for Stafford. Finally, Kyren Williams gets a B grade. I'll leave Blake Corum on the bench, though, because it's bell cows who get it done against the Niners. Alvin Kamara took 27 touches for 120 combo yards. Travis Etienne took 20 touches, turned it into 125 and a score last week. And Kyron's averaging 19 touches per week. That's bell cow status, and I believe in him. He gets a solid B. And that's it. That's everybody who you would possibly start in the Niners and Rams games. I will remind you that on Game Blazers, Epic Packs are 20% off this week. That's 10 items for just $60 with an opportunity for wild items and franchise items too. Use that promo code FFAD for up to a $100 deposit match only at Game Blazers. We'll be back tomorrow for another show with my boy Trevor Jones as we preview this week's favorite DFS plays over on the Fanball slate. We'll see what's looking great. We hope to have your eyeballs and ear holes back here again tomorrow for another Fantasy Football Almost Daily. I mean, if we feel like it.